for most Americans, not most Americans, for a lot of Americans, life is back to normal. For those people who did lose somebody, their life is not back to normal. You know what I'm saying? And so it's a hard situation. And my heart goes out to them, you know, to the firefighters, just to the families, just to the people that were in there. And all you really can do is pray. You know, that's the only thing you really can do is pray for them.
I was asked to get involved with this function last year, and it was a concert for the victims of the World Trade Center. Bruce showed up and sang some Christmas songs and ran through the audience and really, really uplifted everybody. Then he writes these wonderful songs that I connect to, and I see everybody else is connecting to him because the album was doing so well, The Rising. So I go to the concert in New York, and I saw and heard, you know, the silence and the applause and how everybody's connecting to what he's singing about. But then I saw the show again on the West Coast, and I thought before the show started, I said, well, listen, it's personal, it's about New York, it's New Jersey people, but everybody throughout the whole country is listening to his music. So he's healing. I think it should be a day where we should just take off and just, you know, say prayers for the ones we lost. I don't think we should do anything that day. That's my personal feelings. I mean, we do it for Martin Luther King, we do it for Abe Lincoln, but we can't do it for that day.
For a month afterwards, basically, I was a basket case. For 3 weeks afterwards, I couldn't talk properly. My mind was racing. I couldn't get the words out. How do I get up every day? I don't know. Sun rises and I get up. You know, you know, I refuse to be stunted on 2001.
I got to the street and looked up. The post office building was blocking my view of the two towers, but what I could see in the sky scared the crap out of me. There was this trail of smoke and little things flying everywhere. The little things looked like glass shards glittering in the sunlight, but then I realized that they were papers, and that freaked me out because that meant that an office had been destroyed. I worked in an office. I worked with paper. There were millions of pieces of paper.
I think it's just a new kind of, a new kind of normal, you know what I mean? Like, you know it now, it was out there all along, you know what I mean?
Things are as normal as they're going to be considering what happened, but it's probably never going to be the same as it was, I think.
I think everything, you know, even like elections, you know, everyone's going to vote. I think it's going to change the way you vote for someone. It's going to change the way you think about your president. It's going to change, I mean, everything has been affected, you know, I mean, everything, jobs, everything, like, it's now just like a new normal. It's a new factor. Yeah, it's a new factor.
There was a lot of people just woke up that morning, just thought they were going to average day of work, you know, and it was people wives who set their husbands off, you know, and husbands who saw their wives go, you know, and never come back.
I don't feel like life is back to normal for many Americans since the September 11 attacks, because we all live in fear now. We all wondering what's the next thing that's going to happen, and we just so precautious, and we trying to be so, you know, alert on thinking that something else is going to happen. So I don't think it'll ever be the same since that day happened.
We want to keep on trying to go on with our lives, and I think that's important for those of us, you know, who can at this point. And a lot of people, you know, it's going to be a lot harder for people who are closer to it. But we're all feeling it, you know, and we're all feeling this kind of, it's like a sadness.
I think for most Americans, not most Americans, for a lot of Americans, life is back to normal. Of course, September 11th is going to be hanging over our heads and, you know, over us for years to come. Fortunately, I didn't know, you know, people, anybody on the plane or anybody in the buildings, but for those people who did lose somebody, their life is not back to normal.
When you have insane people killing innocents, you can't help but get angry. But the anger isn't constructive. You know, anger just perpetuates anger, and hate just perpetuates hate. And at some point, someone has to stand up and be responsible enough and mature enough to sort of say, okay, you know what? You've wronged me. I'm not going to wrong you back.
I know a lot of people are focused on war and how to get redemption.
But I know one thing stronger than anything is love. Love can't be beaten. And it's important that we as a human race come together and we be there for each other in these times.
It's sad to me that it's not a national holiday at this point right now. I know it's only a year past on September 11, 2001, but in my opinion, it should be. And people should be with their families, which is the most important thing, to be with your loved ones and to make it a day of remembrance so people don't forget. When a little child, my 3.5-year-old nephew, turns 15, and he's asking me why September 11th, and it's a Wednesday or wherever it may be, why is everything closed today? And then I could tell him.
It's a real uncertainty now that we haven't had another attack because we're all sort of waiting for it. And that changes the way you relate to life. It definitely changes the way you live on a day-to-day basis, particularly if you're traveling. Like we've been through, every airport in the country now, and you get to a point where cynicism kind of floats back in and you start to sort of resent the fact that you're being held up in an airport, when really these are changes that were completely necessary.
This represents, the Maltese Cross. We lost 343 men, which is a lot of men to lose on one day. When you consider, over 100 years that the department has been around, the fire department has been around over 100 years, we've lost approximately 740 men in over 100 years. In one day, we lost 343.
You see somebody with a turban and a beard, it doesn't mean that they're a threat to you just because they have a turban and a beard. They're probably going to school with your kids, or they're probably the person that, is writing the software that enables you to get on the internet. We're just American. Like we're all, we're all the same. I mean, at least in my eyes, we all practice different faiths, or we might go to different places of worship, but, in our hearts, we're all the same people.
We do need to laugh. We can't let these maniacs change our disposition in life. I'm an Italian American. I got warm blood. I love people. I'm not going to let these guys change my philosophy in life.